A quick history of Algeria is to attempt to capture the Sahara's horizon in a single glance, an impossible task that nonetheless reveals breathtaking scale and profound beauty. Algeria is not merely a nation-state on the northern coast of Africa. It is a palimpsest, a land where layer upon layer of human history is written over a geological drama of immense age. Its story is not a linear chronology, but a complex interplay of indigenous resilience, foreign conquest, and the fiery forging of a modern identity. This is the history of a land that has been a crossroads, a prize, and a protagonist on the world stage. The ancient foundations, Berbers, Pharaohs, and Phoenicians. Long before the word Algeria existed, the land was defined by its first people, the Amazigan Berbers. These diverse, indigenous tribes, with their own languages and cultures, are the bedrock of Algerian identity, a constant thread woven through millennia of change. Their presence established the fundamental character of the interior, resilient, tribal, and deeply connected to the rugged mountains and vast deserts. The first major foreign influence arrived from the east. The Phoenicians, master traders of the Mediterranean, established coastal trading posts like Hippo Regius, Annaba, and Icosium, the foundation of modern Algiers. But their most significant legacy was Carthage, in neighboring Tunisia, whose sphere of influence drew Algeria into the Punic Wars. The defeat of Carthage opened the door for the next great power, Rome. Roman Algeria, known as Numidia and Mauritania Caesariensis, was a land of stark contrasts. The coast flourished as a breadbasket of the empire, dotted with magnificent cities boasting amphitheaters, forums, and baths, whose ruins at Timgad and Gemala still stand in majestic silence. Yet Roman control rarely penetrated deeply into the Atlas Mountains or the Sahara, where Berber kingdoms maintained their autonomy, occasionally rising in fierce rebellion as led by the legendary Jugurtha. The imprint of faith, Vandals, Byzantines, and the Arab Spring. As Rome crumbled, Algeria was briefly overrun by the Vandals before being reconquered by the Byzantine Empire. But these were merely interim chapters. The 7th century brought a wave of change that would irrevocably reshape Algeria's cultural and demographic landscape. The arrival of Arab Muslim armies. This was not merely a military conquest, but a cultural and religious transformation. Islam took root, Arabic gradually became the language of religion, law, and administration, and the Berbers were largely Arabized, creating the unique hybrid identity that defines Algeria today. Successive dynasties, Umayyads, Abbasids, Fatimids, ruled from afar, while local Berber dynasties like the Zirids and Hammadids rose to power, demonstrating a recurring theme, the ability of the Algerian interior to assert its independence. Corsairs and Corsairs, the Ottoman era. By the early 16th century, a new power was rising in the Mediterranean, the Spanish Empire, which began seizing North African ports. In response, the people of Algiers invited the Ottoman Corsair brothers, Arouj and Hayreddin Barbarossa, for protection. This invitation evolved into 3 centuries of Ottoman rule, but it was a unique and decentralized sovereignty. Algiers became the seat of a formidable military republic, the Regency of Algiers, governed by a pasha and later by elected dies. It was a hub of Mediterranean power, its feared corsair fleets challenging European shipping and extracting tribute from nations as powerful as France and England. This era birthed the iconic image of Algiers as the white city of terraced houses cascading down to a fortified harbor, a place of both fear and fascination for Europeans. The Ottomans provided a framework for defense and administration, but real power often remained with local beys and tribal confederacies, further cementing Algeria's distinct path. The fracture, French colonization, and the War of Liberation. In 1830, using a slight to its consul as a pretext, France invaded Algiers. What began as a punitive expedition metastasized into one of the most brutal and systematic colonization projects in history. France did not just aim to conquer Algeria, it sought to erase it. It was declared French soil, partitioned into departments, and subjected to a policy of cultural annihilation. The best lands were seized and given to European settlers, colons or pieds noirs, while the native Algerian population was disenfranchised, impoverished, and subjected to the discriminatory Code de l'Indigène. The resistance was immediate and never ceased, from the heroic efforts of Emir Abdelkader in the 1830s and 40s to countless uprisings across the decades. For 132 years, Algeria lived under an oppressive system that created a deep and lasting trauma. This pressure cooker of injustice finally exploded on November 1st, 1954, when the National Liberation Front, FLN, launched the Algerian War of Independence. What followed was an 8-year war of unspeakable brutality, a conflict of guerrillas and napalm, of urban terrorism, and ruthless counterinsurgency, costing an estimated 1.5 million Algerian lives. It was a war that fractured French society and became a defining moment of 20th century anti-colonial struggle. Finally, on July 5, 1962, after a hard-won referendum, Algeria emerged scarred but sovereign. The independent era. Building, struggling, and enduring independence did not bring easy answers. The new nation, led by President Ahmed Ben Bella and then Houari Boumediene, embarked on a socialist one-party state model, nationalizing industries, most significantly oil and gas, and pursuing non-alignment in foreign policy. The era was defined by pride in hard-won sovereignty and ambitious modernization, but also by authoritarian political control. The single-party system persisted until 1988, when economic hardship and a demand for political freedom led to massive protests. The regime's response was to promise reform, leading to a shocking event: the first multi-party elections. When the Islamic Salvation Front, FIS, won the first round in 1991, the army canceled the elections, plunging the country into a devastating decade of civil war known as the Black Decade. A brutal conflict between the military state and Islamist insurgents cost over 200,000 lives and left deep social scars. The 21st century has brought a fragile and managed peace. President Abdelaziz Bouteflika's long rule provided stability, but was marked by corruption and stagnation. His ousting in 2019 by the Hirak mass protest movement demonstrated that the spirit of resistance, peaceful this time, remains alive in the Algerian people. Today, Algeria stands at a crossroads, a nation of immense potential, blessed with natural resources and a young population, yet grappling with its complex past and striving to define a future true to the sacrifices of its long, defiant history. From the first Berber tribes to the protesters of Hirak, the quick history of Algeria is, in essence, a story of resilience. It is the story of a people who have repeatedly absorbed immense shocks, foreign invasions, cultural impositions, and internal strife, and have always stubbornly persisted in their struggle to write their own destiny on the unforgiving yet